Welcome to our introductory course on Eternalism, the divine philosophy of the eternal worlds. Unit 9, Holland's BYU Musket Fire Speech. In Unit 9, we'll explore the cultural divide revealed by Elder Jeffrey R. Holland's 2021 BYU Musket Fire Speech, highlighting the clash between objective truth seekers who defend the temple of truth and subjective truth enforcers intent on dismantling it. We'll also examine the political correctness beatdown Holland faced as his call to build and defend the temple of truth was met with accusations of inciting violence against the LGBTQ+ community, exposing the irreconcilable divide between these two worldviews. On August 23, 2021, Elder Jeffrey R. Holland addressed BYU faculty and staff, reflecting on the university's future as a faith-centered institution, in his speech titled, "The Second Half of the Second Century." However, it quickly became disparagingly known as the Musket Fire Speech due to its controversial reception. In the speech, Holland defended traditional Latter-day Saint values, emphasizing marriage between a man and a woman, and drawing on the imagery of the early Nauvoo saints who built and defended their temple with a trowel in one hand and a musket in the other. This call for a dual commitment to build and defend the temple of learning, what we call the temple of truth, sparked immediate backlash. Critics labeled the speech crushingly cruel, accusing Holland of promoting violence against the LGBTQ+ community and fueling a firestorm on social media. The speech became a lightning rod for controversy, with opponents claiming it justified harm under the guise of defending the church's stance on the concerns surrounding same-sex relationships and marriages. On one side of this controversy are the objective truth seekers, and on the other, the subjective truth enforcers. To the objective truth seekers, Elder Holland's metaphor was not about hostility, but resolve, building and defending the temple of truth against ideological attacks. The trowel symbolized progress in building, while the musket represented the courage to stand firm. However, this nuance was lost in the uproar as subjective truth enforcers reframed the metaphor as an attack on their lived experiences, further exposing the irreconcilable divide between these worldviews. The high-profile and divisive outcome of this BYU Musket Fire Speech should serve as a wake-up call to all of us of the clash between these two incompatible and irreconcilable worldviews discussed in our last unit, and of the seriousness of these subjective truth enforcers in imposing their agenda upon us. Recall that at the end of the Unit 8 quiz overview, I asked everyone to reflect on how these subjective truth enforcers police thoughts, speech, and actions through tactics like cancel culture, safe spaces, deplatforming, and enforcing conformity to pronouns and subjective identities. Now, as we move forward, it's crucial to understand the rhetorical weapons and tactics at their disposal used under the guise of political correctness to impose and enforce their subjective worldview upon us. Recognizing these strategies is key to grasping their full scope and impact. Let's take note of a few of them now. From the political correctness arsenal, we have a list of 18 tactics ranked by effectiveness. Feel free to pause the video to review the complete list displayed on the right. Highlighted in color are the 7 specific tactics weaponized against Elder Holland's speech. On the left, these 7 highlighted tactics are broken down with reference to media sources. I will now provide a condensed readout of each. Cancel culture. Critics labeled his remarks as crushingly cruel, resulting in public shaming and calls for censure. Deplatforming. Demands were made to remove his speech from BYU's curriculum and bar future appearances. Social media targeting. Online harassment sought to discredit him and pressure BYU into retracting support. Moral shaming. His defense of traditional marriage was framed as oppressive to LGBTQ+ individuals. Language policing. Critics argued that his musket fire metaphor incited violence. Cultural revisionism. The metaphor was distorted into an alleged call for violence. Echo chambers. Social media groups amplified misrepresentations, intensifying outrage. This analysis underscores how tactics from the political correctness arsenal were weaponized to attack Elder Holland's speech, enforcing a subjective worldview and deepening the divide. Elder Neil A. Maxwell's 2004 call to handle both trowels and muskets in building and defending the Temple of Truth received no backlash at the time, yet Elder Holland's 2021 reiteration sparked intense controversy. This stark contrast reveals how far subjective truth enforcers have advanced their politically correct agenda, aiming to critique and dismantle the Temple of Truth at any cost. For Latter-day Saints, Elder Holland's call to action is now more urgent than ever. Building and defending the Temple of Truth with a trowel in one hand and a musket in the other is essential in standing against those who seek to impose their subjective worldview. These enforcers cannot be reasoned with. They must be countered in the court of public opinion. Every objective truth seeker has a role to play. To illustrate, we present 4 progressive roles of our philosophical stickman. Truth seeker seeks answers from the Temple of Truth. Builder wields a trowel eager to construct and uphold truth. Defender carries a musket ready to protect truth against dismantlers. Builder and defender, equipped with both trowel and musket, embodying the dual commitment to building and defending the Temple of Truth. This final role represents the resolve we eternalists must adopt in advancing objective reality, morality, and sanity. The time to stand firm is now. In 2004, when I first introduced this course on eternalism, the woke mob enforcing political correctness and their subjective worldview had not yet emerged. Today, their efforts have left the Temple of Truth in ruins, demanding both rebuilding and defending. This is no time to entertain debates over preferred pronouns or the absurdity of subjective self-identification. The stakes are far too high. As called on by Elder Holland, now is the time for not less but more musket fire from the Temple of Learning. It is the time to strengthen our resolve, take up our trowels to rebuild, and our muskets to defend the Temple of Truth, standing firm for what is eternally real, true, good, just, and beautiful, in defense of the gospel truth and in the name of eternalism. This ends this Unit 9 presentation. Thank you for watching. Join us for Unit 10, where we'll explore the 3 philosophical mindsets that shape how we perceive and engage with the world. And be sure to take the Unit 9 overview quiz to deepen your understanding of the gospel and the philosophy of eternalism.